Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Bighorn Pizza Lab. I'm Jason, your host, and here at the Bighorn Pizza Lab, we elevate and celebrate backyard pizza. Today, we're whipping up a quick little dough for you. It's only got 4 ingredients. We're gonna use a little bit of yeast. I got some bread machine yeast. I actually had a bread machine and then I lost it in a flood. So never got a chance to use that, but hey, you know what? Yeast is yeast and we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make a little poolish. It's kind of like a pre-ferment. It's gonna help build that yeast up, give it a little bit of character. We're gonna do that by mixing some of this King Arthur unbleached bread flour with some water. Now the water, we wanna make sure we're using either bottled water, or if we use water out of our tap, let it decant for a little bit, let some of that chlorine evaporate out of there. That way we get the best results with our yeast. Not today, but tomorrow when we finish up our dough, we're gonna add a little bit of sea salt, get some nice fine ground sea salt so it blends in there really easy. No kind of anti-caking or iodized salt or anything weird, just good old-fashioned sea salt. Creating the poolish is a must. Your pizza just isn't gonna have good flavor, it's not gonna have a good texture, it's not gonna sit right in your stomach if you don't do it. Now it's really easy. We're gonna do about 30% of our overall dough mixture as a pre-ferment. Right now we're making around 560 grams, and this is gonna be so we can make 2 10, 11-inch pizzas at about 280 grams each. That's about the size I used when I did my review video of my new Bighorn, and it seemed to be a really good size to get a nice crust, but not be too thick, not too hard to work. And I didn't really have to stretch it far to get the right size. So 280 grams seems to be working for me. So we're going for 2 280 gram balls for 560 total. We're gonna make 200 grams of poolish. And the way we're gonna do this is by putting equal parts of flour and water. So 100 grams of flour, 100 milliliters of our water. If you're new to the pizza game, I know you might be hearing me say 100 milliliters this, 100 grams that. Jason, can I just have the one that's like cups and teaspoons and stuff? With bacon, we gotta be a little bit more accurate, and particularly with bread dough or this pizza dough, because we're shooting for a particular rehydration or moisture content in our dough. The first time I made a pizza in this Bighorn, I did a 62% hydration. It came out pretty well, but this oven cooks fast. It gets really hot. If you guys haven't seen the review, definitely check it out. I'll throw a card up here. You guys go over there. For a $200 oven, it's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna dry out the dough a little bit. We're going 58% moisture content. And the only way to do this is to have a scale so we can accurately measure our ingredients. You can pick up a basic food scale on Amazon for 10 bucks. I'll leave a link in the description below to one that I would get if this one broke today. Throw your bowl up on the scale, tar it out, and get your water and flour measured. Don't worry if you maybe go over like 1 or 2 grams, but remember we're going for a specific ratio here, so you're gonna screw it all up if you're way off. Try and be as accurate as you can. You can use a spoon to scoop a little water out or a little bit of flour out if you overshoot it. So don't get real upset with yourself if it's not perfect, but try and be as accurate as you can. Speaking of accuracy, this next ingredient's kind of hard to measure accurately because you only really need about 3.5 grams of it, and that's the yeast. So just use a regular old teaspoon. I use a half a teaspoon of yeast. The thing with yeast is kind of the more fresh it is, the less you can get away with. It might not be what they call viable if it's old, so you might need a little bit more. And that's kind of part of what this poolish and this pre-ferment's doing. We're gonna know if that yeast is working, and even if there's just a little bit in there, it's gonna start munching on that flour and it's gonna multiply. Last thing to do in this particular phase of our pizza dough is move it somewhere nice and warm, which for me is kind of down by where my computer is because it's cold. It's like 65 degrees in the house. After 8 hours in a warm spot of your house, we're gonna go ahead and throw it in the fridge overnight. This is gonna really develop a lot of those flavors, and that yeast is gonna continue to multiply. I'll see y'all in the morning. In the meantime, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and also mash that like button on the way out. See y'all in the morning. And we're back. About an hour ago, I took the dough out of the fridge, so it's nice and bubbly now. And we'll do our last step to sort of get this dough ready so we can make some pizza pies with it later tonight. Want to see this dough in action? Make sure you check out this video right here where I teach you a new recipe and show you how to whip up some white pizzas just in time for Christmas. To get the final steps of our dough prep going, we just need to add the rest of the water from our recipe, which is 102 milliliters. I'm gonna go ahead and put the poolish in my mixing bowl and then add the water back to the bowl that poolish was in, so I can use my fingers to break up any extra starters. That way we get the most out of our batch here. Now we're gonna go ahead and measure out the flour. We need 249 grams of flour, and to that we're gonna add a half a teaspoon of salt. I measure the salt with measuring spoons instead of the scale. It's just a little bit easier because it is such small amounts. Incorporate that salt really good with your flour before you mix it in with your poolish. Everything in your mixer bowl, go ahead and put your mixer on 2, and we're gonna let it mix for 5 minutes. After the 5 minutes, the dough is gonna take a 10-minute rest in the mixer. Just set a timer for 10 and come back. Then we're gonna go ahead and give the dough 5 more minutes on 2, and it's pretty much ready. Now with our dough out of the mixer, just cut it in half with a dough blade. Make sure you get one of those. They make working and cleaning up a lot easier. I'll put a link in the description below to that and some other items that I like for making pizza, kind of like this dough hook. It's a real cheap upgrade, but you can put this thing in the dishwasher. It just cleans better. I don't know if you've ever had any experience with the coating coming off the original ones, but yeah, it's no fun. Get you a coated dough hook. I'll put a link in the description below for that as well. Don't stress too hard about making your balls perfect. This homemade dough is gonna be a lot better than anything you've ever bought that's frozen or in a can or from the store. If you're using a really high protein flour, it's gonna have some really nice stretch to it. It doesn't need to be a perfect ball to end up with a perfectly good tasting pizza, trust me. So just work them on the counter, a little back and forth. You know, you'll feel it kind of get a little bit smoother and easier to work as you knead it, but you don't wanna over knead it. So just enough to sort of roll it into a ball shape, and then with a twisting, cutting motion with your hands, go ahead and seal that bottom. After I get them rolled out, I put them into little cups or bowls, something that's about double the size of what your dough is now, because it is gonna rise a little bit inside of the fridge. I'll put a link in the description below to some little silicone proofing boxes that I definitely have on my Christmas list this year. They're really cool and they're perfect for this, and then I won't be down an ice cream bowl later on tonight when I'm looking for one. Leave them in the bowls on the counter for about an hour and then slide them back in the fridge. And now your dough's done, guys. Take it out of the fridge about an hour before you're ready to whip up some pies. I'd leave it in the fridge for at least a minimum of 4 hours. If you did this early in the morning, they'd be really good the next night. They'd be killer the next morning. This is definitely something to experiment with, guys. Let me know down in the comments how long you like to let your pizza dough rest for. And also, what is your favorite flour? We're gonna start experimenting with some different flours and some ratios, mixing up between bread and double O to see if we can find something that gives us that perfect pizza. So please, if you're enjoying this content, guys, you wanna come back to the Pizza Lab, learn more, maybe teach me something or let me know something you wanna see in a video, hit that subscribe button and get down in the comments and let me know what you wanna see. Thanks a lot for coming by, guys. I'll see you next time.
Peace.